Hey everyone, this is Cindy at An Open Door. It's July 25th, which is a Friday. If you're in 2025, this is actually the hour and 15 minutes that we have opened up to spend time with the guides. Um, we're going to watch a clip and then we're going to hand things over to Amy as she facilitates our experience with the channeled text entitled Resurrection. But we begin with a clip, and I'm gonna play it now. Here we go.
When we see you before us in a perfected state, actualized if you wish, we comprehend the aspect of you that has never known fear, never chosen in fear, never been jealous, never been deceitful. The aspect of you that has come in form is here to learn lessons through those behaviors, and indeed you have and may continue to. But you may opt to move beyond them at a different stage of realization than you have come to before. The regarding of the other, whoever he is or she is, as of God, is actually a mandatory act for anyone who is on this path. You cannot pick and choose who is of God and who is not, nor can you decide that one should be shunned or disbarred and another should not. Some of you decide these things through coercion or through the family heritage that you have been born into. We always do this. This is who we are. We always hate them because we always have. And your regard for another at that level of choice, born in separation and fear, accrues more and more evidence of its necessity. Why you need the walls and the locks on the doors, and to penalize some and to bless others. Your regard for another's being, who and what they truly are, must now be seen as sacred. And this is going to be the great challenge in the years to come, because you will see things enacted that will seem to defy this, and you will be invited to hate or to decide that some could never be worthy, either of a country, a law, or a place to be. You will be asked to see some in shadow. They'll be cast in shadow, and you'll be invited to see them there. But understand that this is still deceit. To regard the inherent holiness of another human being is to enter the kingdom, or to realize the kingdom, or the divine in the one that you see. Now, this is an active choice at the level of the personality structure. But when you truly align to the higher room, you come into accord with a jurisdiction that actually bypasses the laws that you have been born into. When you move to the upper room, it is less a choice than a simple acknowledgement of what is always true. Imagine you know that a bush has poisonous fruit. You grew up around the bush, you don't eat the fruit, and you tell your children, best not to eat the fruit that grows there, it will make you very ill. When you move to the upper room at a level of alignment, you are no longer saying, good man or bad man. You are knowing them. You may be knowing what they are capable of in their lower actions, but you are not self-deceiving by denying the divine that must express as them. It simply is. The bush simply is. It's a glorious bush. Just don't eat the fruit. You understand yourselves what discernment is. Best not to pick up the poisonous snake with your bare hands. Best to stay away from the one who is swinging the machete. But you don't condemn them by putting them in darkness. You stay away from the machete. You ignore the snake and step away, but realize that the snake itself is also a product of Source, or an iteration of Source, because nothing cannot be. To deny the divine in anything or in anyone is actually to enable the darkness. And you do this while you think that you are ennobling the light. I will be a warrior for the light. I will smite the dark people. The shadows will be displaced by my sword of light. In fact, what you are doing at that level of vibration is deciding that some are worthy and some are not, because if you are truly the light, you'll invite them to you as the light that they truly are. You will see the light in them, regardless of what they present, and bless them in their being. Now, to bless someone is not to condone their behavior or their actions. It's to realize them as in the presence of Source. A blessing is the realization of the knowing of the action of the divine upon the thing, especially where the thing has been placed in shadow. The one who has been placed in darkness must be brought the light. You don't do this as a Pollyanna. Oh, there's Annabelle. Her husband left her. Let's bring her some light and give her a happy day. You know Annabelle is worthy of her own relations, of her own being, of her own right to be, and you claim the light that is indeed her, regardless of what she believes or what her husband said or did. It is not an act of pity or even an act of counsel. It's an act of expression. The light that you are in its expression knows who another is, and the benefit is the presence of the light that you are indeed sharing with them. This is not done by choice from the level of amplitude that we teach at. We cannot ignore the light in you, the inherent perfection in you, nor do we ignore the choices you have made, the singular choices that you have made in fear, or the collective choices you make in coercion, or in deceit, or in a lie told and shared. A lie told and shared. Some are more worthy than others, must be seen as what it is, an act of darkness. And to be coerced at that level is to become responsible for the choices that you make in that dark space. You are not exempt from the results. When you turn your back on the one who needs you because you fear her, or you think ill of what he does, when you decide he is not worthy of your compassion or love, you have denied the light in them, and you are accountable to the choice and what that calls forth to you. Again, there is discernment. If the one at your door is seeking to harm you, do not open the door. But understand the light that is still there regardless of what he is doing, and claim the presence of the divine where he is and through his actions. This ennobles him beyond coercion, beyond language, beyond any language at all, because the God within you will always know who he is or she is as of itself. The God that is within you is the same God in the one that you hate, or the one that you would fear, or the one that you would bar from your home. To know God in them is to claim the presence of the source of all things, that is always present, but can be denied.
So what does everybody think? Anybody have any thoughts about that one? How we meet the other, even though we may on the surface be in opposition to their behavior or their beliefs or their actions, and yet still know that they are of source, as source, with source, as yourself. Izzy. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. It reminded me of a story I heard once. A group of friends had sat down to dinner, and a thief broke in and walked up to their table and tried to rob all of them. But one person at the dinner table had the courage and the insight to start asking the thief questions like, you know, well, what's going on for you? How are you? And anyway, the whole thing ended up the thief sitting down at the table and having dinner with him. It's a great story.
That's a great one. Yeah, that reminds me of, what is it, Les Miserables? I'm probably mispronouncing that when the main character comes in to steal all the silver from the religious leader, and the chief of police catches him and is going to send him back to jail, and the spiritual teacher, the priest, I can't remember what he is, the bishop, comes out and says, "Oh, I had just given all of that silver to him," and yeah, it's his to do with as he wishes. So there's no crime that's been committed here. Reminds me of that one, Izzy. That's lovely.
Uh,
Yeah,
that's beautiful too.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
you're welcome.
Yeah, Cindy.
All I really wanted to say is that this is a practice, not a perfection. I can accept this, and I do accept this on every conscious level. And I continue to judge others as good and bad. And when I catch myself, I can remember and ask to see it differently and all those other things. But it's important for me to say yes, yes, yes. And it's a practice, and I'm willing to practice. And I fall down probably 1,000 times a day. So it's important for me, for my own practice, to acknowledge that. Thank you.
Thank you. I can remember the guides in I Am Word, and maybe one of the subsequent books, but he was talking about this approach to someone that you didn't like or that you were afraid of or whatever, and it was to see them as word. But he said something to the effect that doesn't mean you have to invite them over for dinner or go skipping down the street shouting their praises. It doesn't mean that it's kind of like Jesus is turn the other cheek. Turning the other cheek doesn't mean that you allow them to hit you twice. It means you see the other side of them. You turn to see the other side of them, which is with God, with Source. Richard, good morning.
Morning, everyone. I have a saying I say multiple times a day from the Course of Miracles. I am the light of the world. The light of the world has come to every mind because I have forgiven the world. And when I say forgive the world, for me, that means exactly what Paul was saying in that clip. I see the divine in everyone. I do not judge what others are apparently doing. They are just an innocent son of God or child of God, and they're expressing the divine through their conditioning. So that's why I love these meetings, because when I say I love us all, I mean not only the people in this meeting, but everybody in the dream, regardless of whether it's on this planet or multiple planets. So felt urged to share that with you.
Thank you.
Love us all.
I am the light of the world. Thank you. Thank you. William, come to the head of the table.
I like that, Richard. I think what helps me, and it reminds me of what Cindy said earlier when she's in the dyad, is being both. I like, but it's like giving myself permission to embrace the paradox. I am both, I am both, I am both. So it reminds me also early in the morning, stiff, and it's like stretching those joints that want have gone to sleep or gotten used to being in a set position of whether that's judgment, but it's judgment self. So it's just this I can be awe and I am awe. And that's what it kind of reminds me of.
Seeing both sides of the coin at the same time. I think Richard would call that seeing above the battleground. Right? So I see the battleground, and I can even see myself on the battleground, but I also see that I am above the battleground at the same time. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, who wants to read this morning? Anybody volunteer to read? Cindy? Okay, let me write this down.
I see Cindy, I
Yeah,
see
Rick.
Pat, I see Rick.
Cindy, Pat, Rick. Okay, all right, let's start with Cindy. And we are on, for those in the book, we're on page 12, day 4. For those who are reading by Kindle, we're on chapter 1, which is called Preparation, and we're on day 4. And it starts with, "We are here before you, one and all." So you want to start, Cindy?
For sure.
Thank you.
We are here before you, one and all, and we sing before you the great note of all things, the triumphant song of being, the truth of who and what you are, present now and always, seeks to come to fruition, to flower, to bloom, and to claim all things in its scent. The beauty of your being, unparalleled in life, will be seen by you, seen by all, because the light that you are, the beauty of this light, can no longer be hidden. You stand before us praising what has been, what has brought you to this moment, the trials you have known, the fears you have endured. You understand your history is catalytic to this moment in time, where indeed all things will be made new. And the claim we sing to you, you have come, you have come, you have come, the triumphant resurrected self that calls all things into manifestation through like vibrational accord.
Anything stand out in that for anyone? Something that stood out for me was the sentence, "You stand before us," praising what has been and what has brought you to this moment.
For me, reading it out loud just now, it was a sense of trust. It was the feeling of being like a young child with parents who have never hurt me, and them saying something like, "You are beautiful," and me believing them. Or we're about to go on this grand adventure, and all I could feel is excitement because I trust them. I don't need to know. I don't know. All I know is that there's this energy that I'm completely trusting in the moment, telling me that this is so, and something here trust that completely.
So interesting. I heard it that the higher self, all of us together, are standing now with the guides because they say that we are them and that we're all now on some other level just celebrating all the trials and tribulations that we've been through that have gotten us to this moment. And we're just celebrating it together. It just filled me with joy that sentence. You stand before us, praising what has been and what has brought you to this moment. There's something that fills my heart with that.
Shall I read another paragraph?
Yeah.
Now, the who that is come is indeed no longer the small self, but the monad in articulation, or the Christed self in manifestation. And the blooming of the Christ is the overtaking of the small self by the essence of the divine. Now, by overtaking, we don't mean overriding. The small self has its place and is always useful. But the level of identification it has held has been so paramount as to negate the divine. So the overtaking, if we use that word, is the residual effect of the divine self in re-articulation. When you are in re-articulation, every aspect of you that has ever been known can and will be re-known. This does not mean you are not who you think you are, as much as it means you are well beyond that. The idea of self that you have utilized to navigate this reality has its place, yes, but it is no longer the ruler, the king or queen upon the throne, directing a world through its suppositions of what should be. Because the true self knows wherein the small self thinks. The true self can claim a world into being in articulation, yes, through its objectivity. And that's
Wow.
just something I've heard the guides say over and over again, that the true self or the monad or the Christed self knows the small self thinks. And that pointing has been very useful to me.
Anybody else? I can see Alka is thinking, yes. Good morning, Alka, or good evening.
Good, well, good
Good
evening.
afternoon.
Good evening. I was just going to say that sometimes I get confused between thinking and knowing. So it's when somebody else is concerned, it's very clear that whether I know or I'm thinking. But when it's myself or my children or whatever, there is big confusion between whether I thought that or whether I know that. So that's all I was going to say, that I get confused between whether I thought that or whether I knew that in some matters.
Would you give an example of that? Would you share?
I can't think of one straight away, but I know in the past when I have tried to see things regarding my kids, I have been unable to differentiate between knowing, thinking, my wish to protect them, and my love for them. Whereas when I see somebody else in a situation, I know what the right thing to do is. And I can't think of an example, but I remember the confusion in the past about, and then I've just put it at the feet of the divine, I said, you deal with it.
Oh, thank you. That sounds like a very sane response. Thank you for that. Richard.
Another thing that's helped me is the perception a few years ago I had about I'm driving my bus through life. I'm Richard. And I got to a point where I said, I no longer want to drive the bus. I want to sit in the back of the bus and enjoy the ride. So I'm going to turn the driver of the bus over to my higher self and try to lead a more guided life and just absorb what I'm experiencing, which all the teachings point to. Just let everything be what it is and be non-judgmental about it, and you will never suffer. You'll always be at peace. So that has helped me.
Thank you. Say yes to everything. I was just watching that this morning, and it's just perfect. Yeah. I'm not driving the bus. I love that. Oh, Pat, come to the head of the table.
Hello. I had the urge to do this before that first paragraph. And here's the thing. We wrote a song about coming to Nashville or coming to these songwriter events, but the chorus totally applies here, which is, this is why we're here. This is what we came for. Every road we walked before led us to this open door, right where we belong, finding our souls in song. This is why we're here. That's what we said. All of this stuff that happened before happened perfectly, and what's happening now is happening perfectly. That's why it's easy to say yes to it all, knowing what we know. In light of that paragraph, that idea that we're exactly where we're supposed to be in the unfolding of the development or the growing of awareness.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Did you ever set that to music?
Oh yeah, we have verses and choruses and a bridge and the whole bit.
Maybe if you send that to Cindy, we can play that sometime.
It's not ever been recorded, but we might do it.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that would be great. I think, yeah, I hope you will do that, Pat.
Thanks.
Or you could just play it live for us.
Yeah.
One thing that stood out for me was when you are in rearticulation, every aspect, not just some, not just a few, but every aspect of you that has ever been known can and will. So it's not just can, but and will be reknown. And that touches for me on another thing that the guides say, which is that we have to live in not knowing in this rearticulation, because the small self has no idea what that rearticulation looks like. And again, that comes back in a way to Helen's say yes to everything, because the rearticulation will be known when we say yes to it, whatever that is. So Pat, do you want to take up the next paragraph?
Okay.
We are on, we will explain this for Paul.
Okay. We will explain this for Paul because the true self sees all things in truth. Objectively, yes. the days of the small self's opinions, being the director of the claims that create manifestation, are released to a much higher way of claiming manifestation. What we will endeavor to do in these teachings is explain manifestation as it truly occurs, which happens without the edicts of the small self directing the show. When we teach through Paul, we honor his limitations because they are the areas he will grow in. And for this class today, we are going to ask him to be quiet because we will teach things he does not like or may not want to hear. The divine self in rearticulation is the aspect of you that is coming into being at the cost of an idea of self that can no longer be held at this level of vibration. Now, this is a process of rearticulation, and as we have said, that which has been held in darkness must and will be brought to the light for reclamation. To comprehend the act you are undergoing, you must look at examples in nature, the caterpillar to the butterfly, the rain to the ice. All things may be known in new form, but the essence of them remains the same. And the essence of who and what you are, beyond your idea of self, remains the same. But in a rearticulated state, the mandate of the divine operating as and through you is its own expression. Well, yes to that. Yes, sirree. That's happening. That's happening right here to us.
You want to say anything more about that, Pat?
I want to hear what Ndego has to say.
All right, and Dago.
Hi, it's
Morning.
good morning. Such a blessing to be here. I just love being here with all of you. And I just love all of this. It's just such a gift. Everything is just such a gift. And everything is here for us. We are just so blessed and just so loved, more than we can even understand.
Mm.
And that everything is here for us from our Father. Yeah, and it just blows me away, just how we are just so loved. And I love being together, and that's just such a gift. And it's such a gift to be here with all of you. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a gift for all of us to have you here and to remind us of that. So much appreciated, Dago. Anything else anyone wants to share or ask? Pat, do you want to read the next paragraph?
Okay. Now, maybe that's, it looks like an F to me, but its own expression does not mean that you don't like to go to the movies, talk with your friends, enjoy a sunny day on the beach. It does not mean you weren't orphaned or had a challenging childhood or a hard diagnosis. But the divine self as you, the eternal self as you, does not predicate its expression on what you think it should be. And it is the small self with its history that would seek to emblazon the divine with its requirements for what the divine should be. You seek a God with a crown. You seek a light that is in love. But all things must be known now in relevance to their true nature, without the picture book illustrations that you would have accompany them. God itself, or what is known as God, is tone and vibration. It is conscious, yes. It is all things, yes. And because it is all things, it can be known as all things.
what does that remind me? Is it Ecclesiasticles? Love accepts all things.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can't remember the rest of it, but yeah.
And this divine self, where was it? The divine self as you, the eternal self as you, does not predicate its expression on what you think it should be. Right there, that's a kind of pointing to the tiny mad idea. You know, that I can get to say what I think God should do because I got a better idea.
Mm.
And that's in action constantly. I think when we talk about it in the Course, we think about it like it happened a billion years ago at the beginning of the universe. But no, it's happening constantly. That is our state. We are constantly having this tiny mad idea that somehow we're separate from God as shorthand. Call it what you want to call it.
That's such a good reminder, and that we're constantly confirming separation, and the challenge is, and this gets to Williams, was it Williams who said, we have to see both sides of the coin at the same time, because we have to live in this world. As I so frequently say, we have to know how to open the refrigerator door in order to get the food that's in there. But we also have to at the same time know that the refrigerator it's really not there. It's all in, it's not outside us, it's an idea within. Rana, come to the head of the table. Good to see you.
Hello, good to be seen. Good to be here. All things must be known now in relevance to their true nature, without the picture book illustrations that you would have accompany them. And so that reminds me of the Course, because what I see is not really there. The body's eyes do not perceive reality. It's perceiving experience for sure. That's what I've been looking at this morning. God itself, or what is known as God, is tone and vibration. Haven't we been talking about that now for several 24 hours, that everything, even form, in reality is tone and vibration. Everything is tone and vibration. And this play is coming out of me. It's my divine expression play. And there's a sense today that I'm having a very hard time with that. The idea, the thought, oh, everything's breaking, is here. And there was a bit of overwhelm this morning. But sitting with you helps me to remember that there's another way of seeing, and asking for the different vision and the desire to be rearticulated. Show me, guide me, all of that. And it's not a me and an it, right? It's more about releasing these obstacles to reality today. And the obstacles are coming in form. And so therefore they're just vibrations, and they're not real, but it's part of the experience, right? I liked a couple paragraphs back. It was like, the small self has its place for sure. And so there's that balance going on this morning here. Continuing to step back and remembering my true nature. And but there is a feeling of wanting to go. I feel the edge of that. And we'll see what happens next. Thank you.
Thank you, Rana.
What,
Resist-
what's that? Zzzzt? What's that? What's that? Zzzzt?
It was this, Pat. It was like just,
A firework.
yeah, you know, it's building. And of course, there's a part that says, well, let it out, right? Say yes to it. And so instead of panicking, I allowed what was underneath it. And what's underneath that is some sadness. Like, I want to cry. But the mind says, don't be a baby. And so I'm right here, right now with all of this. So thank you for the space to be able to articulate it. You know, I'm excited. I know good things are happening and things are shifting and changing. But it feels a little bit like a roller coaster today.
Mm,
Thank you.
Thank you, Rana. We don't talk about that very much, wanting to cry. You know, we talk about anger and fear and moving anger. I think crying is such an important release, you know. And I notice that when I'm aware that I'm crying, I stop crying. It stops the process. But when I just let the crying happen without any judgment or any observation, just be in the crying, it's really, talk about movement and vibration. It's very cathartic. So thank you for that reminder. Izzy, come to the head of
I understand there's actually chemicals in tears that affect our overall well-being. So that's why it's good. Also, I wanted to share a term I've been hearing that both you, Amy, and Ron are talking about. It's a term called, we're called upon to be multidimensional, which means, yes, we've got to honor the humanity and even come to love it. I'm coming to love it while we fall in love with the divine. So wanted to share that term. It's meant a lot to me.
multidimensionality.
Yeah, we're called multidimensional, that we need to be multidimensional in how we live.
So yeah, the way that I hear that is maybe feeling two different things at the same time. Or as Richard said, seeing the battlefield and seeing yourself on it, but also seeing yourself above it. That's multidimensional. So you're seeing one dimension from the higher dimension and knowing that you're in both at the same time, allowing both to move in you at the same time.
Yeah, I think it could mean at the same time, but for me, it also means, being fully immersed in my humanity. Yesterday, I was very triggered by a neighbor, and I wasn't feeling good. And God, I went to the deepest, worst place, and yet, and I wasn't even in a place of seeing the divine. I wasn't even, but there was a part of me that was going, look it, is you are not feeling good today, lighten up. So I took a nap, and then I felt much better after I took a nap. So, I wasn't even thinking about anything other than how miserable I was. So anyway, I think it's possible to be multidimensional, both in the way you're talking about and otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Izzy. I think you've generated some conversation here. Cindy, then Patricia, then William, and then Richard. So Cindy.
Well, I raised my hand because I want to do something that I watch the guides do often and people ask for. If Ron is up for it, I would like to suggest that the group word through Rana's broken house. I don't know if there's something other than an air conditioner in a car Is there something else that's like, can we just take 30 seconds and word through Rana and Rana's broken car and Rana's broken air conditioner just because it feels good? And it's an action that I'm learning from the guides. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if everybody wants to, if everybody could be muted except for me, just, just repeat the words, even if you have no idea what's going on. And the first line is just word, I am word. I am word through Rana. Word, I am word. And it's valuable to say it out loud, I am word through Rana's body. Word, I am word. I am word through Rana's car. Word, I am word. I am word through Rana's air conditioning system. Word, I am word. I am word through all I see before me. Word, I am word. I am word through my intention to know my
I think what she wants to say, word, I am word through my intention to know myself as word.
I am word through my intention to know myself as word. Word, I am word.
Word, I am word.
So thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I love you. You love me, I know.
Yes. That felt really good. It felt really good. I like that. Felt very coherent. Patricia, come to the head of the table. How are you doing this morning?
Better and better every day. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Acceptance, 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 saying yes, saying yes, saying yes. For me, they're interchangeable. This has been stressful. This whole process has been stressful. A nurse comes to help me yesterday, and it's the wrong nurse, not the one we expected. I can accept it. The other one couldn't come. But Barb had a hard time. She didn't quite get it, because she had her mind set on one thing. And I engaged after the nurse left to help shower and change bandages, etc. I engaged in a fight and talk about a release, like anger and hurt. They kind of go together for me. And so it was like so good to be able to have a fight. It was so good to be able to get all those feelings out. It was so good to be able to say, okay, that's enough. I've had enough. And go back into my space and just sit there and say, wow, does that feel better? So, I think about that and I say yes to it. Now, then I think, am I being holier? Am I in the divine? Is anger in the divine? And then I realize, why not? Why not? It was a good release. We needed it because of the stress that this whole thing has been. Oh, phew. Okay. So what I am saying is that the expression of this lower self, low vibration, was okay to enter into that low vibration so that the vibration could change. And that's all I know right now. And I don't know anything anyway. Thank you.
We could spend an hour on that, on what you just said, Patricia. There is nothing wrong with truthful, forceful expression. In fact, to not express it is to forestall it. It's to bury it. it is it will get diverted into something else.
I'm not so sure about that. I mean, because sometimes that if we use the terms of the guides right here, that lower vibration, by accepting it begins to change. I mean, it's almost like it disperses. It's not something to engage in. I don't need it right now. But it's like there was something that I knew. It was just responsive to engage in that lower vibration. So it could change. Does that make sense? Am I making sense with that?
It makes sense. The thing that I think there's a little bit of self-judgment in using the term lower vibration. I think if you're being truthful in the moment, then the truth comes out. And you know, I think those of us who have arguments, whether it's with our partner or someone else, when we are expressing our truth in the moment and we're aware of being aware of the feeling and we are sincere in our attempt to express the truth, we're drawing a boundary. And that is healthy. That's not a lower vibration. That's a healthy thing. That's a strength.
That may be a strength, but I get confused because it is a lower vibration. I'm not coming out of love. I'm coming out of anger. Do you see what I'm saying? I get that's confusing.
I do. I do see what you're saying.
Okay.
I do. Does
It
anyone?
is what it is. I accept what is.
That's partly why I think we could spend an hour on this subject. That's definitely one to hold and ponder.
Mhm. I agree.
And did you not feel a release? You went and you felt you had moved something.
Yes, it moved out. It was like a storm came in, it moved in, and then it moved out. It was still thundering, but not as badly because the rains came. To use that as a metaphor.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
for
you.
that share. Thank you for that. Much appreciated. William, you're up next.
Well, Rhonda said something that just struck me. It's good to be seen. What does that mean for me? Seen, that word seen. When I capitalize it, seen, it's different from little seen. It reminds me as growing up, I didn't allow myself to get angry. I like to wrestle, but I never got in a fight. I could control I could be all my energy, but I wouldn't hurt anybody and I wouldn't get hurt. It was a way to kind of keep the limits around that. And I think that to be seen, see, when I first remember being annoyed, I let myself get annoyed. It's like, wow, because I always thought that people who got angry were cheating because they didn't have to have courage. The anger did it for them. So what I saw when I was annoyed, I was angry. It's like it felt so good to be full of that energy in the moment. And that's what to me is what resonates. It's in the moment, being, whatever. And when I am seen with a capital S, seen, that's one part of me. And when I'm that little guy that get angry, that's part of it. It's both and. And so I just see that the ultimate acceptance to me is that when I can be annoyed and someone loves me still, oh my God, oh man, it's like, that is total acceptance. That's being seen with capital S and little s and everything. So anyway, to be seen. I don't go around wanting to be seen. I'd rather be in the back row in the background. But there's that part of me when I do come out, I love the feeling of being seen. It's seeing myself too. It's just being seen throughout. And they go back to Cindy's diet. When I'm with someone in that space, it is like we're both talking for each other. Don't know where the words are coming from, but it's like that annoyance. It's like just being in the moment, and words seem to flow back and forth. So, and then lately, I know I'm taking too long here, but maybe my wife lately, at times, you know what? When I look at her eyes, I don't see her now. I see her in that space where where we're both in that space looking at each other, not with our physical eyes. And that is so, it's electrified. It's just now. And then I can switch and see her pretty face. And that's good. But there's that difference back and forth. So I just want to share that.
Wow. I'm so glad I don't know about anybody else, but I could just feel what you were saying about being seen. That is what we all want. We want to be seen in our authentic self and accepted for it. Even if we think it doesn't look pretty. And that's the gift we give our loved one, is to give them the space to be their authentic self and love them anyway. That's healing. That is such a profound form of healing.
And there is no self there because it's just the energy is flowing. The moment is in charge. I don't care what I look like. It doesn't even exist then. So no self. And I love this phrase of Byron Katie. The greatest gift we can give anyone is the realization there is no self and there is no other. Wow.
Thank you. Wow, what an amazing discussion this is. So appreciate it. Richard, you're up next, baby. What you got for us?
Well, a couple of things, I think. With regard to Patricia's sharing, what came to mind was there's a phrase, what you resist persists. So if you feel anger and you don't let it out, you're going to suffer. So let it out, be selfish, let it out, and then forgive yourself. And then press on. That's what I do. So I act like a fool many more times than I'd like to imagine, and I have thoughts I run down rabbit holes with. I have to forgive myself because in all those cases, I'm identifying as a separate self. So I let it happen, then I forgive myself. If you don't like it, fuck you. But I'm happy. I'm at peace again. So I'm at the world again. And all the dream anyways, right? So I mean no harm. And then I love all these teachers and all these teaching, all the books, because they help me refine my understanding of what I am in the dream. So when Lizzie was talking about multidimensional beings, what I've come to believe within the illusion, within the moment, I'm multidimensional, which means I'm also experiencing primarily as a body mind, very physical body mind in this dimension or density, but I'm also at the same moment a light being, with no physical being at all. I'm light. So within the illusion. Now, between the physical dense body I am and the illusion I as a light being, there's a whole spectrum of different dimensions. I may have a body that is as we are right now, but I might also have a body at the same moment that you can see through. And so that's my understanding of multidimensional. It's all part of the illusion, but it's not with the true self or the not true self. It's illusory self, but it manifests as a physical body, and we all are currently experiencing, and a light body, and anything in between those two. So, and in reality, there is nothing. There is no separate self, whether it's a body or whether it's light. It cannot be separate. There's only oneness. So I wanted to share that with you. Love you.
Thank you, Richard. That was beautiful. Great explanation. Cindy, and then Rick is going to read.
Yeah, real quick, couple things. I paused before I raised my hand. I had William in my head saying, is it true? Is it kind? Is it mine to share? And then I raised my hand. So there's a couple of things. Multidimensional human, it's so interesting. It was a huge part of Gary Zukov's teaching. And that's the podcast we did yesterday. So I just found that interesting. When Alka asked about or voiced the concern about knowing versus thinking, the easy way for me here is if the question arises, then I know I'm thinking and not knowing. So the moment I'm in this place where the question arises, how do I know if this is knowing or thinking? I know it's thinking. It's Patricia, though, that it was Patricia's that, it's a longer conversation, but here's what I wanted to say. In any given moment in the world, we are always doing the best we can, and we're not actually controlling in the moment in the world, we are always reacting. Even when it feels like we have gotten to the point where we can pause and look to see if it's a response and it's what we want to do, that's a reaction. So whatever's going on in the moment in the world is absolutely 100% the best we could ever do. And so the moment we hear ourselves saying, I should have done it differently, that's a moment where we could forgive ourselves. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. The second thing is that I have discovered in my own investigation that underneath all strong emotion, there's a belief, whether it's fear or anger or shame. Underneath every intense emotion, there is a belief we've been believing, whether often when it's anger and fear, there's a belief somehow that we're at risk, that we're unsafe, or we have to defend ourselves because otherwise people will see how awful we are, that unworthiness belief, or this belief that I'll never get what I want, or this belief that the world is out to get me and I'm a victim. Underneath every intense emotion, there is a belief. And all this work that we're doing in showing up in these meetings and doing the diets, the contemplations, the meditations, they are systematically, for me anyway, helping to bring these beliefs to the surface. And once they're to the surface, they dissolve. So other than just showing up for this work every day, that's what I've discovered. There's nothing more powerful than that, than to keep showing up for the meditation or the contemplation or whatever the practice is. And then the beliefs get uncovered. And then as we continue the work, we stop believing the beliefs. And then we discover that these intense emotions take care of themselves. But I really, in the most loving way I can, we don't control the intensity of our emotions when they show up. So this idea of thinking I should have done it better, it's an ego trap, and it's an ego trip, and I just, if I could wish anything on anyone, I'd wish that we'd all just let that go. Yeah. There's so much love for all of us here. And I guess I'm done. Thank you for now.
Thank you. Okay, Izzy and then Rick.
Cindy, that was so, I love how articulate you are. Thank you so much for that. And I just want to say there's the phrase out of the Bible, I think it's from Ecclesiastes as well. I've been saying this to myself for maybe 30 years. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. So there we go. Anger's okay. We need to express it responsibly, but it's okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we ready? We are at the bottom of page 14. Now the idea of God on a throne.
Can I just ask Cindy one quick question before we go on? The
Absolutely.
I am word, is that from the study guide from Paul Sillig?
When we worded,
Yes.
that's
I know.
something that's something the guides just do all the time.
Okay.
But if you read I Am Word, the very first book, they go through it in great detail, but they
Okay.
give the definition of word like all the time. So yes.
Thank you. Now back to the book. Here we go. Good to be here. Thank you all. Now, the idea of God on a throne is actually somewhat useful because it means the arbiter of reality. And a throne can only hold one presence, be it the small self, the director of the old reality who says, I should do this or that, become this or that, conquer this or that, so that I reign supreme, or the true self upon the throne, who is an expression of the divine, and a benevolent one at that. The throne that we teach is simply the placement of the inherent divine as your expression. You cannot be ruled by two masters. You should have one to choose, and whether it's the monad or what you would call God, or the addict of the personality, each one will give you your results.
No hands raised. So Rick, you want to take the next paragraph?
Sure.
Thank you.
Now we can speak of results. We are speaking of manifestations and manifestations and manifestation. Did I read that incorrectly?
Yep.
Oh, is the being into expression. Yes, that is correct of an idea. We'll put that simply. Everything created, everything seen in form was the first idea. And your idea of the meaning of these things, what things have come to be called and known as the articulation of these ideas is the reality you have known yourself in. The first idea, the first sound made, we will call it the word, the one note sung, the energy of the creation in action. That is then claimed in manifestation by a being in agreement to the divine. Now, because you are all creators at whatever level or vibration you have come to, you may create in low tone, create fear and mayhem, or you may create in a high tone, a relationship to divine where you understand that the source of all things is the thing that claims manifestation, and your objectivity as a small self will simply claim what the small self thinks it requires.
So that just defined the word for you. It's so amazing. In the first sentence you asked, is that right? And then the next sentence or two that you read said, yes, it's correct. And then, so do you have any questions about the word? Does anybody have any questions about what the word is? The first idea, the first sound made, we will call it the word. Yeah, Patricia, do you have questions about that?
What does that mean?
And first sound by whom?
Exactly. That's a good question. I think let's let Cindy take a stab at this.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer the first word by Hugh. The word is the creator, the divine in action. So it's the flow of consciousness, as far as the way I see it, the word. But what I wanted to communicate, and it's so clear for me here, when we word through something that is going on, it's not what the guides call the small. It's not to satisfy the small self's desire. So it's key that when I sit here and we worded for Rana, I am wording through Rana's broken car. It's not with the intention of having her car fixed. It's with the intention of releasing the worldly circumstance from the small self to the monad. I mean, a big part of what we read just on this page said there is only one throne, and you can choose either to have the small self sitting on it or the monad. And that's a choice that we, in every moment that we feel like we have a choice, we can choose to make. And when we word through a circumstance, we are surrendering the circumstance to the monad, and not to what the small self believes it wants, which is often the small self's desires are almost always colored with some version of fear. Help me feel protected, help me feel safe, help me feel loved, help me feel like I know that I am okay in this moment, and you're going to tell me that what I am is special, because if you don't do that, then I'm going to scream. So that's what I wanted to say, or that's what I said. I don't even know what I wanted to say, other than to keep reminding myself it's not about making Cindy happy. It's not about fixing the car. It's about recognizing we're always safe, we're always loved, we're always cared for. It's different, right?
Yeah. And I think, just not to be redundant here, but words can't really express the whole thing. So when we say the first idea, the first sound made, we will call it the word. That's really beyond the mind's ability to understand. So it's just using, it's almost like the first movement outside of just pure being. The first movement for pure being to just extend itself into some other thing that's itself, but can look back on itself, can be aware of being aware. That's almost like the first note sung. And I don't know if I've expressed that well, but let's see what William has to say.
Well, I like going back to the beginning of that paragraph. We are speaking of manifestation, and manifestation is the being into expression. Yes, that's of an idea. Put simply, everything created, everything seen in form was the first idea. So to me, that's being in the moment, now, now, now. And then suddenly, that formless energy in the now creates form. And that becomes the word, the thoughts. And I think that's the beginning of our hallucinations. So that's what I get out of it. It's just that's the first utterance from the now. That moment.
And then, as Patricia said, we do that over and over and over again in every moment, which is how the world of form maintains itself.
and silence is still present in the now.
Being aware of being aware.
Yes. Being aware of being aware. Thank you. Wow, what an amazing discussion this has been. I don't know about all of you, but I have so enjoyed this and really appreciated everybody's contributions. Just stellar, stellar, stellar. So next week we'll start from page 15. We are teaching through you now, Paul. And I'll turn it back over to Cindy, who can close us out and tell us what's coming next. Thank you all.
Oh,
Love you.
yeah, I love us all very much. Let me just stop this recording real briefly.